Hello, my friend, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Daily. My name is Aaron Machbitz. So who is Corey Graves and why is he so mad? Well, Corey Graves is probably the best color commentator that WWE has going today. And also, he's a former in-ring competitor and former professional wrestler. He competed on the NXT brand. But again, he is the best color commentator that WWE has to offer. Why? Because he understands the little intricacies, the small details, the execution, the story, the process it takes to put together a great professional wrestling match. And so while he's doing commentary, he can deeply connect the fans to what's going on, to the story, to the execution, to the finer details of what's happening in the ring, which can draw them into what's happening to the characters, to the story, to the moves, to the execution, just a little bit better. I mean, you see that with a lot of in-ring competitors who turn to color commentators like a Wade Barrett or like a Nigel McGuinness. But I think Corey Graves is a step above all of them and does this job at an excellently high level. Again, because he has this ability to speak so keenly and so rawly and so detailedly about what's happening in the ring that fans who are listening to him or watching him are like, oh, I'm even more invested because of Corey Graves. And so I understand why he went to Twitter and said what he said. This is what Corey Graves said on X based on not being on the commentary team for the Raw is Netflix. Corey Graves on X said this: imagine chasing your dream, then being told, not deciding, that you're no longer physically able to pursue your dream. Then you dedicate your life to something dream adjacent and being pretty fucking awesome at it. And then when it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, being told you're not famous enough for your own job, just in case you're wondering where I've been. So that's what Corey Graves stated on X. And I totally understand his frustration, where he's coming from. Obviously, they went with Pat McAfee instead because Pat McAfee has a ton of star power. I think he's got like 3-point-something million followers on X, and he's got this weekly show that he does that hundreds of thousands of people watch. He's on College Game Day. He's also been inside the professional wrestling ring. Obviously hasn't had as much matches as Corey Graves, but has been inside the ring, understands those details, understands how hard it is and what it takes to become a professional wrestler. So there's that going for Pat McAfee, but I absolutely love Pat McAfee, and there's no real slander that I'm going to give him, but I do totally and completely understand Corey Graves' frustration. He's put in the work, he's put in the time, he's one of the best, if not the best, going right now for WWE and should be on their biggest show, on their flagship show, talking about the wrestling, talking about the storylines, drawing fans more deeper into what's happening on that show. And so there's no reason why we can't go to a 3-man team where you have Michael Cole, who's the GOAT, been doing it the longest, obviously should be there. You have Pat McAfee, who brings this energy and this charisma and this just love for wrestling. I mean, you see him every time Jey Uso comes out on his entrance, you see Pat McAfee standing on the table, just jumping up and down. It's like he's talking about wrestling like you're talking to your buddy, and people like that because it's casual and they can be drawn in and they can enjoy what's happening. And then you have Corey Graves, who can give these deep insights about what's happening, which allow the fans to connect just a little bit deeper. So again, I totally understand the frustration of Corey Graves, but I think there's a way to solve this problem. And also, if WWE is thinking about what's best for the fans, what's best for the people watching on Netflix, it is a 3-person team because you get all of the best of everything. You get Cole, you get star power with McAfee, and you get the details, the execution, and the greatness of Corey Graves. And it allows everyone who's watching, the millions of people who are watching Netflix, to be totally drawn in and invested to what's happening, because the commentary team, the refs, everyone involved in the professional wrestling match, including the wrestlers, makes the match great, because we're trying to suspend our disbelief while we're watching, and we want to be totally sucked in and invested, and the commentary team has a lot to do with that. So again, I totally understand where Corey Graves is coming from. Hopefully it gets resolved. We see him on Raw as Netflix, and he can make the show just that much better. And so the next conversation we're going to talk about is Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was a guest on Impulsive with Logan Paul, and he had a bunch of great things to say, a bunch of great things, which I encourage sort of every wrestler and wrestling fan to go and watch that and listen to what he had to say and take some notes and study that. But he said one thing that was interesting, because it was brought up that Wikipedia has him as one of the greatest wrestling minds and promoters and creative minds of all time. And Paul Heyman had something to say about that, and here's exactly what he said about that and why it's so amazing. So Paul Heyman said, "I'm not flattered by all that being one of rather than the greatest. If your significant other wakes up next to you and says, 'You're one of the best lovers I've ever had,' is it a 'Hey, honey, we're spending the morning in bed,' or is it a call to the divorce lawyer? The objective is to be the greatest. Anybody that follows this industry knows I'm not one of anything, and that I am the GOAT, and that it should be acknowledged, accepted, respected, and worshipped." Absolutely love those statements from Paul. He's absolutely right. He is just speaking facts at this moment. He is the GOAT manager and promoter. It's not even close, really. It's not even close. He is the GOAT. And I think Wikipedia, immediately after hearing this episode, changed it to not one of, to the greatest manager, promoter, wrestling, creative mind, whatever you want to call it. But he has managed the best. He himself has added to the prestige of every person he's managed, from CM Punk to Brock Lesnar to Roman Reigns to Solo to all the stuff he's doing now, just everything that he believes in. Because he also stated in the episode, which I think is important for fans and wrestlers to note, that Paul Heyman revealed that for the Solo acknowledgement ceremony segment, he deprived himself of everything. Didn't sleep properly for several days, didn't shave for several days, didn't wash his hair for several days, ate like shit for the whole week. He's the best of all time for a reason, because everything he does, he commits fully to it. He makes it as believable as possible so the fans believe it. That's what makes someone great, is their believability. Like when I talk to my professional athletes, it's like, be where your feet are. That's how you win. You win by saying what's important now, being in the present moment. Paul Heyman is always where his feet are. He is in the present moment, doing the thing, watching the action unfold, and being exactly where he is because he wants the fans to be exactly where he is. That's why he's the GOAT, because he fully commits to every word he's saying, every movement he makes, and that's what makes him the best of all time. So I appreciate Paul going on this podcast and sharing some of these details and expressing how much we should acknowledge and worship and respect him. And I totally do. I respect him. Paul Heyman's also a fellow Jew, so I also respect him for that. But more importantly, I respect him for the work he's put in, the memories he's created, and everything he's done for the professional wrestling business, which I deeply love, and the moments and the wrestlers he's created for the fans, for our enjoyment, for our love, for our memories. And so thank you, Paul Heyman. Thanks for being you. Thanks for still, absolutely committing to everything that you're doing and making the shows better that you're on. We appreciate you. And it's a great episode with Logan Paul. I also appreciate Logan Paul for continually bringing on all of these wrestlers and highlighting their skills and talents and putting them out into the world, on the social media world, where, the casual fan can get to know them and talk to them, just like Raw being on Netflix. It's a beautiful time and a beautiful thing for professional wrestling. So I deeply appreciate it. But I think that's all I got for you on today's video. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time for another video. Cheers.